What do Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, George Russell, Lando Norris, Lewis Hamilton, and Oscar Piastri all have in common? They're all washed. They're all not as good as they once were. They're all pretty bad drivers. They all fell off. Or at least people say they have. Sometimes. Every once in a while. Because the thing about F1 fans is that their memory lasts about one race. Everything before the last race is completely forgotten as soon as they've seen the last one. I mean, the last few weeks, all I've seen F1 fans talk about is how Charles Leclerc is horrible and he's never gonna win a race again, and Lewis Hamilton is better than him in every aspect, and his race pace is horrendous, and everything about his driving is just bad. And now he's won a race, and now all of a sudden everyone is switching up again. And of course, Charles Leclerc is not the first one this has happened to. I mean, it's happened to all the other drivers as well. I mean, in 2025, Lando had a few races that weren't going so well, and everyone is calling him horrible. To be fair, everyone is still calling Lando horrible. I think maybe the Lando thing might just be separate from everyone else because people just don't like Lando. But okay, let's say Oscar had a few bad races at the end of 2025. But then at the end of 2025 and in 2026, he got better again. Of course, I'd say the most prominent example is Lewis Hamilton, who for the entirety, basically, of 2025 had some not so great races.
Useless. Absolutely useless.
And only recently has started picking up again. And I think his example is probably the worst one out of all of them. Like, people were really being the hardest on him. So I do understand to a degree why Lewis Hamilton fans were actually such haters when Charles Leclerc finally had some bad races. I mean, after such a long time of being hated, maybe you just want to hate yourself. Hate yourself, not hate yourself. Okay, whatever. You get the point. But then at the start of 2026, people started calling Max washed. And honestly, I didn't really see that much of it because everyone who says something bad about my favorite driver is immediately blocked. I don't take any of that. I started doing it after people started hating on Oscar, so I only saw like the beginning of it. People immediately get blocked, especially on TikTok. One take I disagree on, blocked. Oh, that just looked like an ad. I'm not sponsored. I put it like here perfectly as well with the logo facing the okay. Anyway, so the thing with these washed allegations is every single time they come back up whenever a driver has a few bad races, and then every single time when the driver inevitably does well again, people act like it never happened, and it's really annoying. And this obviously hit George Russell as well, with Kimi Antonelli beating him quite a few times, but it's just like people conveniently forget every single time George Russell has had like an incredible race just to focus on like the last 3 races. Now I'm gonna talk a little bit about Charles Leclerc here. I mean, he is the reason I decided to make this video, especially the last race, which he won.
As you said, tough time never left. Only tough people left.
Is the reason I'm making this video. People have been talking so much shit about him recently. What is pole to win ratio? If somebody mentions his pole to win ratio one more time, like there's a reason why his pole to win ratio is so bad. Spend like 2 minutes thinking about it. Like, it's wild how people just conveniently forgot 2025, where he beat Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time world champion, in basically every single race, because in 2026 he had like 5 races where Lewis beat him. May I remind you, Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time world champion. Even if Lewis kept beating him in every single race, it's still wild to say that Charles Leclerc is horrible now because he's beaten by Lewis Hamilton. What are we talking about? Genuinely, what are we talking about? But what actually happened, and as I knew would happen, Charles Leclerc did well again in a race. And out of all races, Silverstone, which is one of Lewis' best racetracks, right? It's Silverstone. Out of all races, Silverstone. And you might say, oh, but he got lucky because Kimi Antonelli and... Who cares? Like, obviously, Lewis had his 5-second time penalty because of the false start, but he was also just faster than Lewis the entire race. Who cares whether he was a little bit lucky with the Kimi situation? I feel like all the bad luck Charles had more than makes up for that. At some point, you just start to wonder, will Formula 1 fans ever just relax? Just calm down? Just not talk about how a driver has lost their form because for a few races they didn't do so well? And now you could come at me and say, oh, but why are you only making this video after Charles Leclerc won? Obviously, with hindsight, you can now make this video and claim you knew it all along. I made a similar video to this on TikTok before the race. I made it after the last race because I knew people were gonna be yapping bullshit again. And I was right. I love being right. Anyway, this whole thing is such a problem that a driver could probably win every single race in a season, win the championship, obviously, and then have like 3 bad races the next year and people would say he fell off. Oh, we're just gonna ignore all the good races he had, and these last few races he was really bad. Well, maybe he's trash now. Maybe he can't drive anymore. Maybe he got amnesia and forgot how to drive. Let's just chill the fuck out, yeah?